When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. Tonight on Live Green Tennessee, we meet the creators of Nashville's Urban Food Forests. We then travel to Wisner's Farm in Dandridge, and finally we learn about sustainable practices at Sequatchie Cove Farm. All this and more coming up next on Live Green Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green Tennessee. Nashville Urban Food Forest is a nonprofit that seeks to turn Nashville's food deserts into food forests by creating urban gardens that engage all stakeholders in the community, educate, provide nutritious food, and create green spaces. WCTE visited a dig-in where volunteers from across the community meet up to build and maintain the small-scale permaculture design food forest.
When I saw that you can create agricultural systems that are more aligned with nature, it really interests me, and so I thought about how can we do this in an urban area. And we were doing work on greening communities and trying to address issues like food deserts. And so when I saw this concept, I thought, well, why can't we create food forests for our food deserts? Why can't we flip the script, allow the people to be more in control of their food source?
And ultimately be able to allow people to take nice walks and pick their own fresh vegetables and their own fresh fruits and nuts, and also respect the land and use the permaculture design.
This organization is doing critical work of putting people back in touch with the land. For example, I could message this in a lot of ways, right? I could say the health value, which is probably like invaluable to have good health and quality of life issues. But if just economically, I was paying $30 or $40 every 2 weeks to get my yard cut, right? And that's all I was doing. Now I don't have to pay anyone to cut my lawn, and I'm producing vegetables, something that's life-giving.
For me and a lot of other people, there's sometimes like a barrier of, I don't have a green thumb, or I don't really know what to do, or it's too hard, or it seems like a difficult thing to do oneself. But I think when you can come out and be with other community members and be mentored by people who do know what they're doing, it's just really exciting. You're like, oh, it's not that hard. I can do this. I can weed, I can dig, I can, plant some stuff in the ground.
We've got 3 locations going on, and they're all dig-in sites, and they're mainly just maintenance. Because we've already done these sites before, we're just maintaining them and getting them ready. It takes about 2 or 3 years of maintenance to get it going on its own, and then all it takes is rain and sunshine.
I heard about this Nashville Urban Food Forests happening, and I went to the meeting, and I was actually the first designer to contact Teresa about wanting to get on a design team and do a site. And so she was very excited to have me on board, and we started with this site last fall, just doing some groundwork, and then I did the design over the winter, and we implemented it in the spring.
Every year I would just plant tomatoes, squash, okra, cucumbers, and people walk through here because this is a neighborhood in transition. It's being gentrified. It's formerly a very blighted area. And a lot of the folks that walk by would say, man, your cabbage looks good. And they would say, but you need to heal it up. And I was like, well, come and show me. So people start working in my yard, and I would just say, I give them a brown paper bag, just take what you like. And so it became just an annual kind of thing. So then when I met Teresa, she was like, would you like for your site to be an urban garden? I was like, yeah, I'd like that. And it's been so hugely successful.
There's something called the design process, and you start with goals articulation, saying exactly what you want, your vision of what you see, and talking with the client about what kind of foods they want, what's their vision, how much food, how much time do they have for maintenance. And then from there you go to assessing the site, and you use something called the scale of permanence, which goes from the least changeable to the most changeable, starting with climate and ending with aesthetics. And you assess the property using each one of those factors, and then you wind up seeing patterns that are already happening, things that already want to happen themselves in the space.
It was important for me that all demographics be included in this process as a part. The 3 permaculture principles are earth care, people care, and fair share. And Tennessee State University has really gone over to me the top with making sure that their students have access to be able to come out here and learn about this stuff.
The reason I'm doing this is because me and my grandfather used to plant a garden in this backyard. We used to grow tomatoes, squash, other vegetables like lettuce, watermelons, and a few other things. We always grew our stuff because it's cheaper, and plus it's something that he did for his arthritis and things to keep himself moving, and plus it's healthier, and you don't have to have all those poisons and preservatives that are put in your food that who knows what the long-term consequences of those are. But if everybody would get out there and do this, there would be a lot less hunger in the world, and that everybody would be in a lot better shape.
We're trying to leave some kind of mark on the world, some kind of mark. You know, as time passes on, you know, history erases, time just erases history, but we try to keep everything alive, try to keep people together. I really like helping people and meeting new people and assisting them in all the stuff they need to do, like helping out in the community. You know, it's all good to go to grocery store and stuff, but it's always nice to have natural stuff and grow your own things.
Because some of them, you know, had said to me, you know, they were from communities where they didn't do this kind of stuff. They didn't put their hands in the dirt, and several of them said that they had never planted anything. And now, because of this experience, they can't wait to buy a house so that they can plant something in their yard, just because of being able to come here and see what we're doing. And it's exciting to me to know that we have access to students like right up the street, and we have universities, educational institutions that are interested in teaching and facilitating that process. And to know that the students are actually interested.
It's been really amazing to see the response from the community. People are getting really excited, and you can see we have all kinds of volunteers that have showed up today, and at every single dig-in, just people that you can see it in their eyes, that it just makes them really happy that this is happening and they can be a part of it. So I'm glad to be here.
I know that it takes a lot of support. It takes a lot of people, not just getting out here and working on it, but spreading the word. And the more people know about it, the better. And the more people understand it, the better. So it's definitely about education.
I would say is get off the phones, off the Xboxes, the games, TV, and get out in nature.
This is the treasure hidden beneath the weeds. It's delicious.
The next time you find yourself in need of eggs or meat and you are in Dandridge, Tennessee, you might want to grab those staples at Wisner Farms. It all started with free-range laying hens and hormone-free eggs, and now includes beef, pork, chicken, turkey, goat, and lamb. And everything is raised the way nature intended it to be.
I don't know that there was ever a decision that I made to get into farming. It was more of a out of necessity, I believe, at the time. We had a lot of kids, grandkids, and needed food. One thing led to another, and we began to produce food for ourselves that other people wanted. When we first started out here, we began raising laying hens. We'd buy day-old peeps, raise them out till about 6 months when they were laying eggs, and we began selling those. We had people coming in from all over the area buying the laying hens, and from that they said, well, can you do meat birds? And we said, sure, why not? And we just kind of grew from there. We're primarily grass-fed meats and eggs, which means we have cattle, grass-fed beef, grass-fed lamb, goat. We have meat chickens, pork, Thanksgiving turkeys. We raise fresh Thanksgiving turkeys. We have ducks, geese, mostly for eggs, ducks for meat and eggs. We did raise vegetables, but we stopped doing that. It was just too much. We do a lot of chicken eggs, which are very popular.
I'm Chef Garrett. I'm a certified executive chef and have a little show called A Fork in the Road with Chef Garrett. I'm out here at Wisner Farms today to talk a little bit about the products that he raises, the type of products that I use as a chef, and the type of industry that has evolved around this exact same thing here. In the last few years, people have become very, very conscious of what they're eating, where it comes from, what is the source of that food, because we began to get a little bit worried that we had strayed off the path of eating good, nutritious, healthy food. So a few years ago, we started what was called the organic movement. I hate that name because it's got a sort of a pompous effect to it and a kind of a connotation of being somewhat exclusive. The fact of the matter is, what we need in our diet and in our food chain is natural, sustainable, properly produced, healthy food. Now, I've used these products and I have found them to be infinitely better than that which you can buy from your normal purveyor. Why? Because again, we go back to it. This product, it's local, it's natural, it's not force-fed, it's not contained, it's not pumped, it's not full of growth hormone. And a lot of what you have in your supermarket shelves is exactly that.
When we started out, our objective was to be as natural as possible with all our foods and to raise them as close to nature as we could, or as nature's blueprint, which of course with animals is putting grass, is grass feeding them, free-ranging grass feeding. So with our chickens, we initially completely free-ranged them in an area that was fenced. We found that limited our ability to move them around, control them. So we went to what I call our egg RV, which is a mobile trailer that we move around the property about every week or so that they're foraging grass and bugs at the same time they're fertilizing our pastures. Laying hens' eggs, for instance, are very much a challenge because of feed cost. We pay retail for feed, unlike the big producers who basically can buy it below the cost of production, which means that our prices have to be considerably higher, and even then we barely eke out a profit on them. Eggs are one of the examples that we're constantly reassessing, and we stay with them because our customers really love them and we love them. And they're so different from anything you can buy in the store that we continue with them as, if nothing else, a lost leader. So, deciding what to do and what you can do reasonably and profitably and with the skills and labor and all the things you have is really a key to this.
If you start with a really great product, what you want to do is get it as natural to the plate as you got it from your purveyor. In order to do that, you have to start with a great product. Great product, it's got to be natural, preferably local, and definitely chemical-free. For me as a chef, let me tell you, there's simply no comparison. You have to get good, natural product if you want to create great dishes. It really is that simple. And that is why the whole farm to fork concept has caught on so well. And that's why places like this, here at Wisner Farm, this is why these places are doing so well. And they should. Does it cost more? Of course it costs more. It's not mass produced. It's like anything else in life. If you want something really good, maybe you got to pay a little bit for it. The deal is this: is it worth it? As a chef, absolutely.
We have a commercial store, a store here in the arena, which was actually an apartment that was built by a previous owner. To keep our children from moving back in on us, we turned it into a store and a commercial kitchen. My wife is a baker and bakes bread, rolls. We also do jams, jellies, apple butters, pumpkin butter, various kinds of prepared foods that we sell alongside our meats and eggs as well. What I see as the future for this is more and more people are waking up to the concerns of what is in their food, particularly in their meats. All the additives that are going into meats these days is very troublesome and doesn't seem to be something that's getting less so. It seems like it may be becoming more so even. Keeping up with the demand for our products is our biggest challenge. Just more of what we're doing, I believe, is the future without compromising the quality and integrity of the product, which is would be very easy to do, but it would not serve anyone.
If you've ever been to the farmers markets or one of the many local restaurants in Chattanooga, chances are you've enjoyed some beef or cheese that is from Sequatchie Cove Farm. WTCI brings us to the farm and we take a look at the sustainable practices used to keep their animals and the lands thriving.
Here at Sequatchie Cove Farm, our focus has always been to sell directly to families and restaurants local food that's been produced in a way that's really healthy for the community and for the environment. On this farm, which we call the home farm, we have just milking cows. Actually now we have sheep, but right now we're milking about 30 some odd cows. Next spring, cows will milk for 10 months and then we dry them off and they rest and recuperate for 2 months. And then they have a baby and the process starts again. And so we'll start having new babies in December. And so next spring we'll hopefully be milking about 50 cows. So we're slowly growing in number. And then we lease some other farms, some neighbor farms, and there we have a beef herd of 75 cows or so. So with our cattle, our focus is grazing and really having cows eat as much really nutritious grass as possible. And the way we do that is every single day, twice a day, we give our cows a fresh break of grass. And so that's kind of like every day you get a fresh salad twice a day. What that does is the grass is always at its peak nutrition. So the cows are always eating very nutritious grass. And then for the grass and for the ecosystem, what it does, it allows the grass to regrow and to store nutrients and to store carbon. And so it actually builds fertility because photosynthesis is part of it is taking carbon dioxide out of the air and storing it in the ground. And so when we call ourselves a sustainable farm, first what we mean is that we're actually building fertility. We're building an ecosystem that has resiliency to droughts, to floods, to whatever it is that the weather brings, and that will leave it better than we found it. And so that's how we view our ecosystem and the grass and the cows. We use really the cows as fertility tools to increase biodiversity. And then, of course, to have really good milk or really good meat, we have to have calm animals. And so we're around our cows every day, and we treat them in a way that we feel like they would live in nature. And so there's an organization, a third-party organization called Animal Welfare Approved, which we're certified by Animal Welfare Approved. And we use all natural methods, organic methods. We don't use herbicides or pesticides or any chemicals at all on the farm. We try to really work with nature with the belief that by working with nature, the farm, and working with the laws of nature, it'll just make farming easier and more profitable and be better for the environment and the community. So in every decision we make on the farm, we balance the economic decision with the community and the needs of the community and the water and the sun and just everything that involves, in a sense, life and our ecology, and making sure that that decision has a positive effect on all of those components.
There's a lot of reasons why Sequatchie Cove cheese is special. I guess really the first and foremost reason is that it's a farmstead cheese. A farmstead cheese is defined by the fact that we only use the milk that we produce here at the farm to make cheese, rather than buying milk produced off-site. So we're making milk and we're making cheese right here at the farm, and that inherently gives it a very unique quality that it really basically creates a cheese that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And then the fact that we make all our cheeses by hand. We follow a lot of traditional cheese making practices. So that again, creates a really unique product that doesn't exist anywhere else. But the fact that the milk is produced out here on our pastures from our soil and our cows, in this particular place here in East Tennessee, it just makes sort of a one-of-a-kind, unique product.
We typically, once the milk is in the vat, heat the milk. We inoculate the milk with starter bacteria to begin the acidification process. And then we add a coagulant. We add rennet to coagulate the milk. It turns from milk into like a thick yogurt, like a gel. And then we cut that into small pieces. And now we have curds and whey. As we begin to stir the curds and heat the curds to a specific temperature, the curds begin to shrink and expel moisture. And once we get to the desired texture, we'll drain the whey off and place the curds into the forms and press them into the shape of the finished wheels. And typically they'll be reversed a few times throughout the afternoon in the press, and they'll continue to press through the night until tomorrow morning. We'll take them out of the press and into the aging room where they'll be salted and brushed for several months during maturation.
And then of course there's the energy that we use here at the creamery, and we have solar panels that definitely offset all the electricity that we use here in this building. We are connected to the electrical grid, so we still receive a power bill, but we also receive a statement of generation every month, and we're always making a little bit more power than we're using. And we feel really good about that we're actually contributing energetically to the greater system here in the Sequatchie Valley. Making cheese is very energy intensive, both with electricity, hot water. There's a lot of aspects, to it that we're using on a daily basis, so we want to be able to offset that as much as possible.
We welcome families to come visit the farm. Anyone who wants to know where their food comes from and how it's grown, we encourage visitors to come and get to know where their food is grown.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more. This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.